Elon pumps the crypto markets by partnering with eToro. This is Debate Crypto. Question everything, trust nothing.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you guys are excited. We have another episode around the charts today, and we got the one, the only, Evan Aldo on the show today. What's going on, man? How you been?
Doing amazing. Thanks so much for having me. Fun time on the charts right now. I got a lot to show you guys, so I'm excited.
Awesome, dude. We're excited to go through all these charts and see what's going on today. Up next, we got the one, the only Magic Internet Money. What's going on, man? I see you got a casting couch back there. You got some rough times coming in.
I'm here to pump the price of Bitcoin, man. That's all I'm here to do.
And last but not least, we've got Bill Noble. What's going on, man?
Hi, thanks for having me.
I see you also have a couch back there, guys. You guys have a little dual thing going on with couches today.
That's right. That's the home office.
All right, guys. So we got lots to cover today, right? Today, Elon came out, made some news. Bitcoin's price is pumping, right? We're seeing green days ahead. We're back above 30K. Let's do a quick little market overwatch here real quick before we jump into the questions, just so that we can see how some of these altcoins are performing right now. So here we go. Let me do a quick little refresh. And all right, Bitcoin's at 30,400. Ethereum's over $2,000. Let's go. And then we got BNB, $324. XRP, 51 cents, but nobody cares about XRP. Cardano, 42 cents. Dogecoin still number 8 holding at 8 cents. Polygon at 114 and Solana number 10 at 24. Is Solana going to make a comeback here? I mean, it's still holding this top 10. I'm concerned. What do you guys think? Do you think Solana's going to make a comeback this next cycle?
Hey, man.
I mean, there's a lot of smart people that say no. I think it'll do well in the bull run, but I think there's a lot of better opportunities with things like Chainlink, Cosmos. So, yeah.
What do you think, Magic?
Same. I mean, I think it's going to pump like anything else. When the bull market goes, everything goes up with it. I think it's an old saying from, Jesse Livermore, in a bull market, all stocks go up. In a bear market, all stocks go down, right? So it's just identifying the ones that are going to have the better performance. And I don't think that Solana's that one for me.
Perfect. Bill, what about you? What do you think?
I think Solana can have like a last hurrah, right? They're
releasing their phone pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to put pressure. That's going to put pressure on Web 2 companies to either issue their own crypto phone, right? Or somebody's going to have to come in and partner with Solana. I mean, Amazon has already partnered with Avalanche and no one cares until they do.
Yes,
right?
Dude. So
right?
True, man.
And so, I mean, Solana could have this one last, we're talking about outside any bull cycle, right? But you can't, being short Solana, at least in my mind, there could be a gap move up. Let's say it that way.
Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, I think it's going to make some move. I personally am not going to be buying any Solana just because of everything that's happened and how manipulated it was. But, that's never financial advice. I do believe it's going to possibly have a pump as well. I mean, it's been holding top 10 regardless of what's happening. And with their phone, who knows what's going to happen. Hopefully they get good service. And they don't have, a down network all the time. Your phone calls and text messages can go through. But outside of that, Bill, since we got you on the casting couch already, I wanted to ask you a question first, right? So your question here, right? We've got Citibank came out predicting that they've got about $4 trillion of assets are going to be tokenized by 2030. And along with the, everything that's happening with the Federal Reserve right now, the money printing, but they're not printing. Are they going to raise interest rates? Inflation coming down? We got all kinds of foreign governments dumping the U.S. dollar, all these craziness, right? The Federal Reserve is out of control. How do you think institutions, investors are going to react to this, and will this affect Bitcoin's price long term?
these type of moments where Citi makes this type of announcement, they're watershed events. Normally, investment banks make their money by taking companies public, by helping them issue debt, by helping them, go public and issue stock. That's how big banks, investment banks, have made money. Now, why would a big investment bank like Citibank say that assets are going to be tokenized, right? In other words, that might cut them out of the picture for security tokens. What trumps that business for them? Simple answer: liquidity. BlackRock is looking for tokenized assets, security tokens. Why? Because real estate needs to get tokenized because there's no liquidity. Treasuries, corporate bonds, there's no liquidity in treasuries. And if there's no liquidity in treasuries, there's definitely no liquidity in junk bonds, real estate debt, etc. Venture capitals have huge positions, but they're illiquid unless they can go public. Well, guess what? In a wild environment where the legacy world kind of shatters and has to restructure itself, how do these big banks, how do they get liquidity? How does BlackRock move assets? You have to tokenize them. You have to.
Do you think they're going to start running to Bitcoin?
Yeah. I mean, Bitcoin is going to be an asset that's going to have to be on every bank's balance sheet, right? So they're all going to need, they have physical gold. So whoever's got physical gold is going to need Bitcoin. It's kind of just that simple. Like if Bitcoin's at 150K in February of next year and you don't have it, you're going to look like an imbecile.
So follow-up question to what you were just saying right now, right? With what is happening with now that the numbers came in, inflation's coming in lower, right? But they've also adjusted how they're measuring inflation compared to last year. And, Bitcoin's been holding up and moving, right? We're like 100% from the all-time low of 15,500 right now. So how do you see Bitcoin moving forward here in the next couple of months? Do you think Bitcoin can continue moving up, or are we hitting a top? What are you seeing in the charts right now? Or
Okay,
just
so
whether it's the charts or whatever.
Right. So when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm going to pull this chart up. Okay, and then I'm going to mix a bunch of GAN with it.
Let's get it. In the meantime, guys, smash those likes if you're not smashing the likes. Share out the live. Make sure you guys are following everybody here in the panel. Their links are down below. Coming here every single Thursday to bring you amazing information. Go ahead, Bill.
All right, thank you. So 27K, this is fib speed resistance lines. Okay, it's like a thing on TradingView where you're essentially connecting a high and a low and just seeing which lines give you interesting readings. 27K was a big level, and I was like, well, if they break 27K, it could go to 34. All right. And then I was like, I'm a moon boy calling for 34. And then I essentially took GAN work. I took every big, astrological event, every planetary shift in the month of May, because I'm a big sell in May and go away guy.
Do you think that's still going to happen this May as well? That will apply for this May?
Yeah, but it's going to be at the end of May. Okay.
Ooh, why is that?
Well, I mean, there are a group of events, like there's an interaction between Venus, which is traditionally influences crypto and diamonds. So the way you think of this with the planets is you're on a stage. That's the sky. There are actors. That's the planets. They wear costumes or have a role. That's the things the actors or planets influence. And then the actors and what they influence, they move around the stage. So when I say, the full moon in Scorpio, that's just jargon for where the moon is. So on May 18th, the full moon is in Scorpio, a time of completion. ChatGPT thinks that some astrologers say Bitcoin is ruled, or Bitcoin is very influenced by what happens in the Scorpio section of space. ChatGPT does a few TA calculations of its own, and it spits out 45K could be a possible target for a buying climax. Like this could be a possible target for a buying climax. They spit that out. It spit that out. And I'm wondering, one, if 34K is not a moon boy target. Two, if these guys who are talking about a golden pocket around 40 something, they could be right. Because if it's not 45, it suggests on May 29th. So if the top's not May 18th, it suggests, May 29th, 41 or some crazy number like 57. Now, I'm not going to make a thumbnail that says Bitcoin to 57, but I think we have to ask ourselves, are people taking this rally seriously enough? And I think the answer to that is no.
I agree with that. I do agree. I do think that people are not taking this run as serious. But then that leads me to a follow-up question here. So you're saying after May 29th, that's when the crash will be coming in? That's when the whole sell in May and walk away?
Yeah, I mean, that's when you're going to get corrective activity, right? In other words, can you imagine what people are going to be saying if Bitcoin's at 45? I mean, they're going to be saying it's going to 100, right? And that's
to the moon, baby.
That's right. And that would be normally when you get some sort of correction. Now, all I'm getting from this is that, I need to expand my mind beyond 34. Like I have a methodology where I say, okay, how should I think about the market today? And that was my thought of the day. Expand my thinking.
Dude, it's definitely interesting. I mean, I like the fact that you're using ChatGPT. You're using the astronomical energies as well. I mean, there's all kinds of things that work. And I think there's a follow-up question later down the show that I want to ask you guys about. Could this bear market be different? And I do tend to believe that things are different this time around with the situation that's happening with the US dollar, the government, the inflation. I think, Bitcoin's rally, even maybe it's a replica of 2019 and we crash back down, right? But maybe it's not. And I think, I'm kind of indecisive right now. I'm kind of leaning more towards the camp of maybe it's not. Evan, I got a question for you, man. Besides, we're going to make a quick little shift from Bitcoin to Ethereum because ETH has also, broken 2K. It's been quite a while since we've been this high, and it feels great, right? They have the Shanghai upgrade just recently. People can now take their ETH from staking back and become more liquid again. A lot of people thought, oh, that's going to crash the ETH price because, people are just going to start selling all the staked ETH that they had locked up. But instead, it hasn't. It's been moving up. Do you see this? Do you see ETH continuing to go higher here, or are we forming a top?
So there's a lot of big things we're hitting that would tell me when all is said and done, and a lot of people, including myself, I don't know if it's a glitch or just mine, on Kraken, I can't even sell my ETH yet that was staked. So I think we're still waiting for some people to be able to kind of sell that. And let me just show you the charts here. We're hitting right now a pretty big point right around this spider line right here. And while we're hitting that, we've already confirmed kind of some bearish divs right around kind of this area at this exact point right here. So this is a huge point. If we zoom out a little bit here, I just want to show you guys the 2-day. We're playing around with this area right here back in August of 2022, which is the top of this rally. So that's kind of forming a double top pattern from all the way back there. And also, you haven't printed it yet, but you're getting close to printing somewhat of a bearish div on this next momentum wave right here, which makes me think that a lot of the rally for ETH could potentially be over. Now, we have there's some other things I want to show you too. So ETH Bitcoin, we look at, this does not look bullish by any means. This looks like it's going to continue to bleed. It's bled against Bitcoin since September of 2022 pretty well. So obviously through that amount of time, the main view would have been that you wanted to be in Bitcoin over Ethereum. Now, if you break out of this wedge there's a technical target around here, 0.03, 0.04. This would be a dream. If we could really crash that much against Bitcoin, it's almost too good to be true because I would be selling, probably put my degen hat on, sell the majority of my Bitcoin for ETH and just try to get some crazy gains there if it goes that low. But in my kind of view is the technique to get into ETH is when it comes down to kind of this point against Bitcoin, start DCAing into ETH right there. And for the really short term, this is interesting. If you look at the Cardano ETH chart, we're hitting a very rare, big point of support here. This is Cardano versus ETH. look at what happened back in 2019 over here. Jumped up back to this area, it hits this area pretty well. So what I'm trying to do when I'm able to do it, when I'm able to unlock my ETH that's staked on Kraken, I'm going to trade a lot of that over for some Cardano. A little bit of a risky play here, but I do think as we look at Bitcoin dominance keeps going to the moon right now, we're getting a little bit of a pullback for it right here. Maybe Cardano and a couple of the altcoins could run up for a few weeks before we have a kind of sell in May type thing. I think we are going to have a summer lull here. And I think when we do, what we'll kind of see for, both Bitcoin and Ethereum, and this is kind of what's backing it up. See these split RSIs right here, very similar to 2019. We could have a little bit of room to potentially come a little bit more forward, but I do think you're going to have at least, nothing goes up forever. We've generally been coming up just straight up since January. We're going to have a pullback at some point, even if we are somehow able to pull to 2,400. I think you're going to kind of come back down. I don't know if it's going to be as bad as that, but I think you should at least have a good shot of coming back to 1,300, maybe 1,100 for some good places to, one, start DCing into ETH, and two, for me, not telling anybody to do anything, not financial advice, but what I'm going to be doing, converting some of my Bitcoin into Ethereum in preparation for the next bull run, which I think is going to do really well.
Dude, that leads me to a
follow-up question. Where do you see Cardano going?
And in the meantime,
So-
guys, smash those
Yeah.
likes. We got 30 likes. We got almost 70 people in here. Let's smash those likes. Go ahead, Evan.
So Cardano is in the short term looks a lot better than most altcoins right now. Like I'm more cautious on altcoins just because Bitcoin dominance has been so bullish, and the majority of altcoins have been bleeding against Bitcoin. But for the short term right now, what we're looking at Cardano, what I'm seeing is you look at this area, you have the trigger
you're
wave
not
came
pulling
up a
up the
bit.
chart if you're.
Oh, what happened there?
Oh yeah,
My
sure.
bad.
No problem.
Thanks. You should be able to see. Okay, so now we're on kind
There
of the 3-day right here, and then as I was saying, you're you got that trigger wave there. You just crashed down. Another one right here. It would be risky, but the money flow is coming up. I could potentially see if we continue bullish until like May or so, I could potentially see 50 cents or the high 40s potentially. It would be a little bit risky in this environment. What I want to show you too is if we go against Cardano versus Bitcoin, the Cardano ETH looks really, really good, but Cardano versus Bitcoin doesn't look as promising here. I'm not seeing like as much. You're hitting this point, which is kind of some point of support, but I do think it potentially could bleed against Bitcoin some more, potentially with Ethereum as well. So I think there's a good shot Cardano will outperform Ethereum based on this chart a lot and can potentially do good for at least the next 2 to 4 weeks. But after that, when we do have a pullback, I think Bitcoin will continue to be king. And I think Bitcoin will be king until potentially we get up to 55, even kind of these points for Bitcoin dominance. And that could be, somewhere in mid to later this year. And that's going to be prime real estate for altcoins, like big places where altcoins will probably start to outperform Bitcoin and continue to do so until the next bull run, until the peak of the next bull run.
Let's go. I love to hear it.
Oh, I muted myself there for a second. I said, I love to hear ADA pumping, Bitcoin pumping. Meanwhile, XRP's dumping. That's all. It can only make that better. That's about it for me. But Magic, I got a question for you, man. So Bitcoin's held to 30K, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, is it gonna hold? Is it not? Right? Are we gonna lose this? We've talked about the golden pocket up in the 40s. Bill Noble's also brought it up. What do you see? Do you think this rally can continue into the 40K, or do you think this 30K right now is more of a top than a local bottom?
I think everyone's overlooking 32K. And I think that's a big mistake. I think that if you're going to get the major pullback out of this rally, that you could be seeing it there. When we sell in May, walk away, like last year, we actually topped out March 28th, a little early, then put in a large range. So you'll see it coming if you're paying attention to sizes of ranges. They typically get smaller as price
Just
increases.
Quick interruption.
Velocity.
You're not showing your chart.
Yeah, I guess I probably should. You probably want to see that. But typically you're going to get large ranges, and as they expand, and you can go back to 2019, you can go back to the prior bull market, like all the way back here. What you'll notice is you get really large consolidations like this one here. Then you get another large consolidation, yet it's smaller in size, but price is accelerating at a quicker moment. So it's like throwing a tennis ball into the air. Very similar concept to what we're seeing now. And I do think that this is going to be the area you need to be paying attention to.
Hold on, give me a second, dude. Sorry to interrupt you again, but your screen's like extremely blurry right now. Is there something you can change to make it a little bit less blurry?
Let's see. I had this problem this morning too. That is wild. And I'm actually frozen on my end. Great.
Yeah. I also noticed that.
No, I can't even update the settings inside of this. So that might be
try hitting refresh and jumping right back in. It should bring you right back in. In the meantime, we're gonna wait for Magic to come back. So guys, if you haven't smashed the likes, smash those likes. Make sure you guys are going to follow all these guys. Their links are down below in the description. And here we have Magic. Here we go. We got Magic back.
Let me go through my settings real quick before I do anything. Make sure that the visual is good. Usually it is. Yeah, I've got everything on there. Yeah, I'm going to kill my camera just in case while I'm talking. So sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't, but ran into that this morning. Very odd. Yeah, so in terms of what you're looking for right now, I am using the yearly VWAP close, essentially, and these last local highs to kind of look for what is going on in price. So for me, that is going to be what I like to look for. You can see this is where you closed out. It's also your last local highs here when you bounced from 25K. And if you went left over to where we were at in the summer, this is your quarter one low. So a pretty important low in general. But if you were to pull up all the ranges, this is also going to be the point of control for this entire subsection of price. So this is going to be the level, for me at least, that you need to see reclaimed. And if you can, I do think you can make the case that we're going straight to 40K, because when you look above this, there really is nothing there. It's straight up to about 38,922 and 39,675 for me at that time. If you're going to see anything higher than that, you do have a naked point of control from December that is hanging out just above this local high. And I believe that there is a quarter 2 or 3 pivot that did not get tapped. Where's my key levels folder? Every single one of these is also in a different order on all my other charts. So give me just a second here. And I believe it's quarter 1. Yeah, right here at 52. So that is where these become statistical targets to backfill these inefficiencies, basically. But you've got to get through 32. If you don't get through this quarter 1 low, this old point of control of the prior range lows, it's really a moot point to talk about any of these other prices. And you can see how things start to settle up there. So for me, as I look at this and I look at prior runs, I'm not saying that's going to be the end of it and it can't go higher. Like, I'm certainly not going to close all my longs and look for something else. But when we start looking at a prior run and we turn on the standard deviation bands of your yearly VWAP again, if I can get my mouse to stop jumping around, we're starting to probably lag. Man, that's going to be a killer for me. Never fun to have issues. You rarely get outside of these standard deviations on a yearly time frame. Like, you have to really be pushing price to do so. Even in the bull market, you can see they accelerate with it. So we would have to see some pretty aggressive push to get through this right away, at least on a first attempt, if it made that push right now. What you'd like to see is maybe a little bit more consolidation. And you certainly could make the argument for that, as you had pretty long consolidations leading into this, several weeks, in fact, up here. So if we went sideways for a week or two, not the end of the world, but if we just shoot up there in the next few days, that to me is going to look like an area where I'm going to look for invalidation to take a short, at least head short in a different account and look for a pullback. Doesn't mean the rally's over by any means. It just means that that's going to be the better trade at the time. But if you get through this area, yeah, I mean, you've got a free ride, so to speak, up into this region, because this is all one giant vacant level. And if you go back over here and you take a look at some of these, the price action previously, you can see it does respect that. Like at this bottom here, once you're back above the level, what do? It's pretty much a fast move down and up consistently throughout price. So we may come up here and put in a bit of a range, fill it out a little bit more even. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing things as of right now. It's hard to be, I'm not 50K bullish yet. It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just, for me, that's how I view things, level to level. So
yeah, dude, that brings up a great point, right? You're talking about 32,000. 32,000, if people remember, was a very big line of support when Bitcoin dropped after the first peak, right? We dropped down to 32 before running it back up to 69. And we held 32 and 30 for quite a bit of time. And then when we dropped the second time, 32 and 30 were also, once again, very big support. So it would only make sense, like you're saying, right, that now on the way up, that 32 is going to be a very key level of resistance. Were you trying to say something? I think you were muted.
No, I was muted. I was saying, yeah, I agree, definitely.
Yeah, so that's something that we're looking out for, right? But like I said, this leads us to the open part of the conversation here, which is we had Elon announce, right, that they've partnered. Twitter has partnered with eToro, and that they're going to be bringing stock and crypto trading into the platform, right? That we know now that they have pretty much gotten rid of Twitter Inc. and now become X Corp, right? Like the X-Men. And he's assembling his team to, make sure that this app now becomes the everything app. That is his long-term goal, apparently. So how do you? We'll kick this off with Bill. How do you think this will affect the Bitcoin price? Could he do the same thing to Bitcoin that he's been doing to Doge?
Yes. I mean, he's probably going to make Dogecoin the official coin of Austin, Texas, because he's going to try to bring Tesla, X Corp, SpaceX, everything to Austin. And consensus is next week. And anybody who's underestimating Elon Musk is making a mistake. Now, I mean, if you just look at like a weekly chart of Doge and some basic DeMark work, right? Like DeMark was a quantitative analyst who measured trends, strength, and then he gave you reversal points. Now, these little set of conditions that are present, I don't know, like the high is higher than the high 2 days ago. Each candle will get a number once it starts trending. So Doge spiked up, then Doge comes back down. But it's still above where it opened, and buyers continue to sort of like counterattack every time they drop this thing. And when people get done selling Doge to pay their taxes, this is on a weekly basis, and the daily chart looks even better, because one of the things that the DeMark system does is, it kind of does like a magic internet money automatically. It'll find, big support and resistance points horizontally. Doge explodes, comes back down. And then now, again, this 1, 2, 3 could be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, literally. So anybody who's underestimating Musk is barking up the wrong tree.
I like it. I mean, I think he's got tons of influence, dude. And his influence goes really far. And he's making massive moves, right? Like, who would have thought a year ago we would be talking about now Twitter having actual crypto trading directly on the platform? Which leads me to you, Aldo. The question, right, I'm going to reframe the question a little bit different, but is this going to lead to a higher level of Bitcoin trading, a higher volume, what people like to call maybe mass adoption, by allowing such a huge platform like Twitter or X Corp, whatever you want to call it now, to be able to actually be able to do this directly through the platform?
Yeah, I think in terms of long term, on the macro, that stuff is always going to be bullish. Obviously, the more people, the easier the exposure to it. Like what Fidelity is doing, all of these things is going to be good for the long term. For short term, maybe not. When people see those things, especially people who bought it, say 15, 16K, when they see all this good news, what are they going to do? Usually they're going to take a lot of profits, the people that are smart, and then they kind of wait and get in after. But all this stuff in the long term is bullish if you have, a 2-3 year perspective for the next bull run. In terms of Doge, like, I believe, I could be wrong in this, I believe that isn't that like the only crypto that's actually inflationary, which that's kind of like funny that people are kind of into that. I just think there's just so many better options that'll do so much better than Doge into the next bull run, like Chainlink, Cosmos, Algo, AVAX. Like, there's just so many better things to look into. It's smaller market caps that have just so much more potential, to keep going. Like, come on, guys, Doge already went to the moon. It went to 70 cents.
Yeah, Doge
You know
has
what I mean?
tons of inflation, right? Tons of inflation.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
somehow it
that's
still gets to
like,
pump. Somehow it still gets the pumps. I mean,
yeah, I'm just so sick of the meme coins, man. It's just that's just me. But yeah, it's good in the long term, very good in the long term. Some of this stuff could work as sell the news for people that bought it, say 15, 16K, because people that doubled their money at 15, 16K, like, it's a psychological area that we're at right now between 30 to 35K kind of, or 30 to 34K, that area. A lot of those people, I think, are going to probably take some profits the more good news that you see. But in terms of, say, 12 months down the line, 24 months down the line, yes, it's very bullish.
perfect. Magic, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about this whole thing? I know you guys don't follow too much of the news.
No, but I mean, if Elon's getting on board on crypto, everything that guy touches turns to gold. Unless you're into liberal politics. That's the only crowd he hasn't won over yet. So he's a good marketer. He's also very smart. Him bringing more attention to the space is not a bad thing. So it's kind of like he was alluding to. I'm obviously a big Bitcoin guy, and for me, the halving happens, supply gets cut in half, right? And we get more people into crypto. What does that equal? It's good things for price. So just the fundamental aspect of it alone is good.
Let's go.
So next question here is this market, right? This market, like I was alluding to earlier, I believe is different. Yeah, make sure you stay hydrated. That couch can dehydrate you pretty quickly, Magic.
I ran. It's like 85 here now. It was literally under 30 degrees last week, and now it's 85 in Kansas. So
that's crazy, dude. Yeah, we got like
run.
22 inches of rain here in the last 4 days of nonstop water. They had to shut down the airports and everything. I mean, it's been wild. We finally got a sunny day today. Back on topic. So what we're talking about, Bitcoin, everything's happening. The bear market, right? I alluded to earlier that I believe this time around things could be different. There's a lot of macro stuff that is happening that a lot of people were afraid of entering this bear market. How is Bitcoin going to react in a recession? How is Bitcoin going to be able to perform? And we hit all-time lows. Everybody thought it was over, and now Bitcoin's made a huge comeback, right? And like I said before, 2019 we had a massive run as well. I think went up to like 14K before we dropped back down to 7, and then the fog around the world dropped us to like 3K. Assuming we don't go to World War III or anything like that in the next 12 months before the halving, do you guys think that this bear market is different? As in, could Bitcoin sustain a rally here, a bullish rally through the halving and moving forward? And Bill, why don't you take that question first?
Okay, dips happen.
Yes.
Right? The idea that Bitcoin is no longer a volatile asset is something people need to consider or reconsider, right? I mean, could Bitcoin go to 32 or 34? I mean, those are where the chart points are. So that would be logical. But could Bitcoin get wild because everybody knows that banks, commercial real estate are in trouble and there's going to be a geopolitical event? I mean, I pulled it from Ganwork on ChatGPT, or you can just watch the evening news. So dips are going to happen. My guess is June and September. But when the event happens in October that has you yelling for your mama and baby Jesus because it's so scary, right? That's when Bitcoin is probably going to decouple, right? Like end of October, I think something's going to happen in Legacy where Legacy is going to have to reprice itself. That's how I say it. And then Bitcoin, from whatever level it's at, is really going to start taking off. And then into the end of the year, I have a good friend that, does her work and, she thinks it's Christmas. Where Bitcoin is just going to like decouple and go.
So you do subscribe kind of to what I'm saying about this rally could be sustained, because yes, of course there's going to be dips, right? Like we're not going to just shoot to 69K, right? We're going to have sideways movement. We're going to have some dips, maybe back down, but basically we're not going to go back. What I'm trying to say is we're not going to go back down to 15. We're not going to go back down below 20. I think we're going to, my whole thing is I think this market is very different now because of all the stuff that's happening macroeconomically, geopolitically, all this stuff has really charged Bitcoin and brought it to the forefront of mainstream attention. Like you need an alternative currency. You need an alternative to wealth collection. I know a lot of people have been talking about gold, right? Gold just broke 2,000. Guess what? ETH has been there and been back multiple times. Gold just got there right now. But outside of that, back in 1948, I believe it was, they had the gold cost. They confiscated gold, and what they can confiscate is your Bitcoin unless you're not protecting it properly. So I do believe that we're not going to hit back to these lower levels of Bitcoin. I do think that this rally, if things continue to align properly with what is happening and they're managed, I think people are going to start turning more to Bitcoin. I don't see us coming back down to those low levels. But I do agree, right? It's not going to be a straight right up. It's going to be dips and sideways movement. But, at the end, what do you think about that, Evan?
Yeah, so I think the big thing, like the only possible thing I could see, like bringing Bitcoin to a lower low, but below 15K or whatever, is if we have like some seriously bad recession, real bad recession, unemployment starts skyrocketing towards the end of the year into early next year. We all know usually when like a recession is announced, typically what we haven't, Bitcoin's never been in it before, but we could look at what happens with gold and silver. Typically, they crash a lot in the beginning, then they recover very quickly and start to outperform the S&P 500. We don't know 100% if Bitcoin can do that. We think it can. I think it definitely can. With Silicon Valley Bank going down, it seems like it will. But that's like the only possibility that could potentially bring it back down to those levels. Also, we could see, say the recession acts more of like a kind of a black swan type thing, similar to what we saw with the pandemic. Bitcoin crashes a lot, like pretty quickly with everything, and then recovers a lot faster. I think there's a decent probability. Now, if this happens, it could easily just crash to maybe 20K, something that definitely does not have to make a lower low. But if this does happen, I think it's going to happen sometime toward the end of the year or sometime in early 2024. And I think what we should look at on the charts back in like comparing the S&P 500 is it's probably in all likelihood going to be more like 2001, more of a slower bleed down, or 1973, more of a slower bleed down rather than what we saw in 08, where it just just crashes quickly, then V-shaped recovery, or what we saw in 2020. Really quick crash, V-shaped recovery. We're due for something different. And I think gradually what we'll see in the next, 6 to 12 months is the economy just gradually deteriorating, the unemployment rate gradually increasing. And I think, you may not see a bottom in the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones until middle of 2024, similar to what happened kind of in 2001 in that recession. And the big question is kind of how does Bitcoin act in that? And I mean, it's unlikely, I think, but I think there may be a small possibility. I would only give it like a 10, 15% chance that Bitcoin kind of follows traditional markets more and gradually bleeds with the S&P 500. Now, that could just make a gradual bleed from here, more slow bleed from, say, maybe 30, maybe if we hit 35, 40K, maybe a 50% correction like that if that happens. But we should talk about it. We should be prepared. In terms of a DCA strategy that I have to kind of just DCA into Bitcoin until the end of this year and then start getting into alts when Bitcoin dominance gets to what I'm hoping for, around 55%. It doesn't affect my strategies, but I think we should talk about those possibilities because we're not 100% sure that Bitcoin's definitely going to act as gold yet if we do go into a recession. I mean, I do own gold and silver too. I mean, it depends how risky you want to be. I bought a lot of gold and silver back last summer. That's done incredibly well. I'm just trying to outperform the S&P 500. I'm planning on holding that 3 to 5 years, then slowly converting it back to S&P 500 for more of a low risk type of investment, more for retirement, like in my retirement accounts and stuff. So that's my
dude, that's a great point, right? Like you do have to talk about the other side, right? We can't only talk about the bullish side, and this totally fine. It's perfectly valid to speak about the negative side. And talking about the negative side, I want to make a quick little intermission here. We got to talk about taxes, right? We got to pay taxes. Tax season is almost up, but if you got crypto tax, if you've been buying NFTs, if you've been trading crypto, if you've been doing anything where you're swapping right from one to the next and you're buying and selling something crypto related, you got some crypto events going, definitely taxable events going on. So make sure you find yourself Price CPA, perfect guy, man. Me and Keeper did our taxes with him, and it was flawless. It was a beautiful experience. I was terrified going into doing my crypto taxes. I mean, and it was a great experience overall. So if you haven't booked with him, link is down below. Make sure you get your stuff all squared out. You don't want to be going to jail and mixing the next bull run because you didn't pay a few dollars in taxes when it comes to crypto. But that being said, brings me to you, Magic. Bill, right? Evan talked about the positives and the negatives, right? End of the year, Bitcoin, could Bitcoin sustain this rally? Maybe something crazy happens at the end of the year that Bitcoin decouples and blasts off, right? Or like Evan was saying, maybe we start seeing a slow bleed with the S&P 500. Where do you see the end of this year and the how sustainable this run for Bitcoin is right now for the rest of the year?
I mean, we're moving pretty fast right now in terms of like how fast we're going up, if you want my personal opinion. So
Yeah.
I do think there's going to be a pullback, and I do think it'll be sizable. I don't think it's going to be like 15K or 16K, but nothing's off the table anytime you're talking about something like cryptocurrency, right? I think that what could be a catalyst, he has some good points there as well, but regulation when it comes, I don't think it's going to affect Bitcoin as much. We've seen that from China and other things, but altcoins will be the ones that you have to be careful with. So when you're looking at Bitcoin dominance going up, it's kind of telling you something that these are the riskier assets, and money is going to start shifting to things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, a little bit more of the mainstays. So when that comes down the pipeline, I think altcoins could stand a chance to make new lows still, but I don't think Bitcoin will. I think Bitcoin will be just fine in that regard. I think it'll hold up on a higher low, but I do think that there are going to be some speculative alts that are going to feel some pain. Not all of them, but maybe more of like the shitcoin, genre, which I'm not really upset about that. It is what it is.
Perfectly said, dude. Perfectly said. Which leads me to one of my final questions here is, as we see Bitcoin, right? Some money comes out of Bitcoin. Sometimes we see these altcoin seasons pop off. Do you guys believe we're going to have an altcoin season here going into the summer? And if you do, is there any specific altcoin that you are keeping an eye on? Let's start off with you, Bill.
Okay, when it comes to alt season, it's kind of like the flash rain you had in Miami, right? It's going to be this like 10-day storm, like, Bitcoin will move, and then all of a sudden, like, Cardano will have this spike, right? I think that Cardano analysis presented earlier was like spot on. I think the other question you have to ask yourself is what would happen to altcoins in general if something like XRP broke out in the SEC's face short term, right? In other words, you could get something that ignites a 10-day altcoin rally. And I think that's probably the best you could expect, because altcoins at this point may be just under-owned. So you could get the spike, but I think it's going to be Bitcoin at the end of the day, because as you said, right, if there's going to be a dip in June and there's going to be a dip in September, I'm guessing regulators are going to try to stop the inevitable in Bitcoin, because remember, Bitcoin embarrasses the government, right? And then there's no way altcoins can escape a repricing in legacy. In crypto, we go, oh, well, legacy, to hell with them. Okay, well, if that falls apart, make no mistake about it, that's going to be scary. And highly speculative assets typically don't survive that type of environment intact. So if Bitcoin dips, or Bitcoin dips a lot, which is possible, don't get caught FOMOing into a 10-day altcoin spike if that's what you see off the eclipse or in May.
Dude, that's some wise words right there. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with Bill a lot on that. I mean, my main thing for an altcoin season, I'm not really doing anything with it, but I think potentially some of the alts, like the safest bets that could run right now, are the ones that people have been talking about a lot less. Cardano would be the number one that could spike up a good amount in the next 10 days, possibly until May. That's kind of the longest I could see them spiking up, but potentially till May. AVAX is a good contender as well. And Polkadot look pretty good in the charts. Other than that, I probably would not be messing around with any altcoins right now. The only thing I'm doing is converting some of my ETH that just got unlocked from the staking over to Cardano, just because that ADA ETH chart is just so bullish right now. Like, I can't not take a little bit of a risk on that to get into some Cardano. But I think Bitcoin dominance ultimately into the summer will continue to be bullish. I mean, sure, some people are always going to remind me, yeah, their micro cap altcoin did good because of so-and-so Reddit shill. But I mean, I think the majority of altcoins are still going to bleed against Bitcoin for the next 3 to 6 months at least.
Dude, I agree, man. ADA all the way. Let's go. Magic, what are you looking at for when it comes to altcoins, man?
My largest allocation was Polkadot. This last time around, I was getting in just under $4.30. Target was $4.19 to $4.38. So that was the one that gave me the best entry, and the one I allocated the most to, because I actually didn't get an ADA entry, if you recall. So I reallocated those funds over to Polkadot. That one, I still have mean reversions on that one, as high as like 10 and 13.33. So when I look at that, I'm like, okay, some of these alts haven't ran to the targets that I'd expect in terms of a mean reversion. And a lot of that has to do with Bitcoin dominance. Just like XRP, huge chart. That was one that I've been charting since 2021, telling people it's going to go to 29 cents after it went to $1.35, waiting for 29 cents and then taking the trades. And now I'm waiting for closer to like 87 and then $1.03 still. Has nothing to do with the lawsuit, has everything to do with what I've seen on the chart. Already locked in some gains on some of those. So to me, that's kind of what I'm waiting on. I'm not going to dabble too much in other coins. Like I'm not going to trade Solana. I'm not going to trade any of the other coins. People are going to tell me I'm missing out, but it's kind of like, Evan just said, where there is always going to be that one coin that pops off because there's 20,000 of them and they're going to say, see, alts are the way to go. But I think history will show over time that it'll be Bitcoin and Ethereum and the mainstays, the blue chips that are actually building.
Dude, I can't wait for you to tell me that you're shorting XRP again. That's going to make me happy.
Dude, that was my most popular and least popular video. In the summer of 2021, it was at 50 cents. And I said, it's going to go to $1.35 and I'm going to short it to 29. And it got and I only had 1,000 followers on TikTok at the time. And that view count went up to almost 20,000. And people were it was just straight hate the entire way.
Always, dude. Always.
I saved every comment though, and then tagged them all back when it hit 29 cents a year later. Blew them all a kiss.
So this brings me up. We got a few minutes here left of the show. Hope you guys are all smashing the likes. We got almost 100 people in here. Let's get to 50 likes, guys. Let's get to 50 likes. Wild card question. We know Trump's back in the news, right? We know a lot of Republicans are out there talking about pro-Bitcoin. There's a lot of Bitcoin regulation and pro-Bitcoin and pro-CBDCs coming about. Trump was very anti-Bitcoin last time he was in office, but now he might want to be winning some favor, right? And to get back in office. Do you guys believe that by 2024 he will turn bullish, or I should say pro-Bitcoin, to help his campaign? Bill, why don't you go first?
Politicians are going to have to quickly figure out that in a United States that's basically divided, it's a 50-50 flip, right? The left has social and healthcare issues on their side, and the right has, say, energy policy and tax ideas on their side. So who decides? Who wins? Well, they're going to have to court the crypto crowd, right? RFK Jr. said some positive things about Bitcoin. Ron DeSantis from Florida says, hell no, we won't go about CBDCs. So these guys are going to court the crypto vote. And, the guy that you mentioned, he's a business guy and he's going to do what's in his self-interest. Right.
Perfectly
so,
said,
if
dude.
that's the way to win, he'll go in that direction.
But do you think he'll actually be pro-Bitcoin? Because I heard him talking lately about how the dollar's in trouble, the country's in trouble, right? There, all this stuff. Do you actually think that at some point he will be like, yeah, Bitcoin's probably the way to the only way to save the states, if by backing our dollars with it or whatever it is?
Well, I think this individual doesn't. I don't see him coming out and going, I've been enlightened. Crypto is the way to go. I can see him pointing to crypto and going, hey, look at 150K Bitcoin. This is an embarrassment because of the policies of the past. And now I'm going to go do what I want because Bitcoin is embarrassing the United States. So again, it's about what is in his self-interest. He's got NFTs. If he embraces Bitcoin, it's because it's going to give him leverage over other people, because the guy's a fighter, like him, not like him. Right. I mean,
Agreed.
He's going to do whatever works, whatever gives him the advantage at the moment.
100% agree. Evan, what are your thoughts about Trump going pro-Bitcoin or not?
Yeah, I think I don't know if he'll definitely he's not going to just go out all 100% pro Bitcoin, because a lot of people that do vote for him are somewhat skeptical, especially like baby boomers, those generations. He'll probably say it's somewhat, he'll probably be a neutral view on it. He'll probably say he kind of supports it, but he'll probably say it's a speculative investment, something like that. He'll probably, if the dollar is really going down, continuing to go down, he'll probably be pro gold, silver, other things kind of as well. I think the Bitcoin, he's going to kind of emulate the view of, you know, his supporters mainly on it. I think he kind of definitely regrets saying, I remember a few years ago or in 2021, he said it sounds like a scam to me. He probably regrets saying that now. And they even did the NFT thing. So he's going to probably say crypto's speculative, but, you know, a neutral stance on it. People should be able to have the freedom to do what they want with it. I feel like it's going to be kind of that view. He'll probably like mirror the view of kind of Ted Cruz or DeSantis, somewhat pro Bitcoin, but not like full out. And I mean, everything with Trump is a lot of times like just building his brand. He's going to do whatever's going to, like any politician or any business person almost, you know, do what's going to get you the most votes, the most sales. And he's got a good shot of getting the nomination and a very good chance of beating Biden, in my opinion. So he'll say what's necessary, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Agreed, dude. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens. Magic, what are your thoughts on this whole dilemma?
I mean, anytime politicians kind of start turning an eye to Bitcoin and like actually accepting cryptocurrency in general, it's a good thing. You know, it's how I see it. Might not be a good thing initially because the two sides are so divided that just having his endorsement might push the other side away from it initially. But, you know, if we could get lawmakers in place that were actually pro Bitcoin, it'd be great. I think I reposted something on Twitter, but I think the states are probably leading the way on that. We've kind of talked about that. And that's going to be really important to get that like unification across the states that they want this as well. And eventually, you know, it's kind of like legalizing marijuana, things like that, you know, at that point. So you're going to get the pushback from, you know, certain crowds, but eventually it's going to get done. I hope it doesn't take as long as that does, but I don't think that they can stop it. I think they have to realize that. And a good point that Evan said is he might not even care about Bitcoin. He's just doing this to get votes, and he's trying to mirror his opponents at this point. So if Ron DeSantis is his biggest challenge, he's going to, okay, I don't want someone to not vote for me just because I say crypto is a scam, right? That's a very trivial thing to lose a voter base over. And Trump he's known to flip-flop those types of opinions over his career. I mean, every politician is really. So, yeah, it's not really surprising, but I do think it's a nothing burger until it isn't, right? Until someone's actually in office and doing something about it. I think we have to look to the states.
For sure, dude. I mean, the reason why I even brought it up is because keeping about a few private conversations, and there's been such a strong stance for CBDCs right now on one side of the aisle, right? And they're pushing for it very hard that, you know, the other side is coming out very pro Bitcoin and this stuff, but, you know, nobody's got the media attention like Mr. T does, right? And if he comes out now coming pro Bitcoin, not like you guys said, right, to mirror some of his opponents that are already on that side, and then to once again establish himself as the anti-establishment, right, the outsider, the guy that's pro freedom, right, and with the US dollar on the way down, this is a way that he can promote himself in that way and make sure that he fights, you know,
he's going to have to make some money on it. He's going to have to make some money on it. You know how he is. He might open up a Bitcoin university or something.
Hey, man, you never know, dude, right? Who knows? Maybe he'll become the first president to publicly hold Bitcoin. Who knows? It's only a matter of time before we see a president say, hey, yeah, I'm into Bitcoin. We already got mayors and governors.
60 at that point, though, unfortunately. Most of those guys are pretty much on the Warren Buffett trail of just like they don't want anything to do with it.
Hey, man, we can only wait and see, and that's exactly what we're going to do. So I hope you guys all smash the likes. Hope all of you guys watching right now have gone down into the description, been following all these guys. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on YouTube. Make sure to check out their videos. I come here every single Thursday to bring you amazing information for free, guys, for free. So make sure that you guys show them some love as well. And, you know, at the end of the day, you've always got to question everything, trust nothing. And until next time, hodl like it's hot. See you guys.